My name is Chip. I am the 386SX machine.
Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of PC Voyage. I'm Diana McLean.
And I'm Rainey Laviolette.
And today we're going to be talking about taxes with Marty Condon. How are you today, Marty?
Fine, thank you.
That's great.
I thought we were doing German 101 tonight.
Oh, well, just a little sprechen Sie Deutsch. In there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What did you bring us tonight, Marty?
Tonight I brought a package that I sent away for, and they're trying to break into the market. It's CA Simply Tax, and I'll be reviewing this a little bit this evening. Let me tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a tax consultant. I've been in the field, in the tax preparation field, for 24 years. I've been doing taxes manually up until the last 7 years when I started to become computerized. 3 years ago I went into laser printing. I can assure you that I will never go back to preparing taxes manually again. If I have to, I'll quit the business. The process of doing taxes on and by with the computer is so far superior. You can play what ifs, do all kind of printing scenarios. It's just outstanding as far as the tax preparer is concerned. I've got a couple of facts that I think that your audience might be interested in concerning Andover and the IRS center there. And I just received this the other day from them. I'm on their mailing list. During the 93 filing season, they have a peak workforce of 4,000 people. They had total returns filed of 8.5 million. The total dollars refunded was over $5 billion. And of course the average refund on all of those refunded dollars was just over 1,000.
That's quite something, huh?
That's absolutely amazing. You know?
Yeah.
How many facilities are there like that around the country?
There are 13 of them, and in I believe about 2 or 3 years they're going to consolidate to around 8. And there is a chance that the Andover Center may be being phased out, at least the particular part that we usually file into Andover with. That part may be phased out. The paper returns may be routed someplace else.
Now, because people are using computer software to do their taxes, or more and more of them are happening, are they getting any better returns? I mean, less errors, that kind of stuff?
Well, there's a lot less math errors. When you put 1 and 1 into the computer, it comes out 2 all the time, versus when you're doing them manually and transferring numbers from an adding machine and then putting it in on paper manually. Sometimes you'll transpose numbers and you'll transfer an incorrect number. So yes, the math is absolutely improved tremendously. The theory, well, that's another question. There's questions on the theory of it.
Are you more likely to be audited using a computer tax program?
No, as a matter of fact, I have a sneaky feeling that you're less likely to be audited. And I can't base that on anything in particular. It's just that the return appears more professional. Whether, again, the theory is correct, that may or may not be true.
Computer tax programs sound so wonderful as far as the ease of use and all the benefits of using them, but are there disadvantages?
I believe there are drawbacks to some of the tax packages. Some of the people who aren't used to doing their taxes may feel overconfident. They may take deductions that aren't applicable and that may go out of range, and the software package doesn't stop them or tell them that they're wrong. If a person was going to be doing his own return and he's familiar with doing the paper return, and it just may take him hours to learn how the application works. So there are certain drawbacks to software tax packages. There's no doubt about that.
But can't you take, I mean, because of the fact that you can take the data from, like say if you use Quicken, you can take the data from Quicken and pop it into some of these tax packages, doesn't that make the return more accurate?
It certainly would. There's no doubt about what you've indicated, but the only thing is to learn the application. And if you're only going to be doing it for yourself, is it worth the price of the product? A lot of the low-end packages, such as the one we're talking about tonight, or low cost, I should say, not necessarily low-end, but low-cost products cost, in the range of $30 to $40. Then if you add the state package in, which everyone needs, you're going to add an additional $15. When you get through with that cost, and the fact that you're only doing it for yourself, it's almost cheaper to go to a tax preparer.
So how about some names of existing software tax packages?
Well, Diane, there's about 25 packages out on the market. They range from the lower end, simply tax, money-wise, and they go up to pencil pushers and some of the upper-ended packages that many of the CPA firms use that go into several thousands of dollars for the complete software package.
Now, how much is the least expensive around?
The ones that we're going to be talking about tonight, CA Simply Tax, they run generally $20 to $30 for the software package. That's for doing your federal returns. If you want to do your state returns and pick that particular information out of the federal and transfer it into the state, you'll have to spend an average of about $20 additional. So in order to get a complete package, it's likely that it will cost you about $40. That would be for the home preparer.
And since we're talking about taxes, there's going to be needed upgrades every year.
Absolutely. The upgrades generally run 50 to 75% of the cost new. In my particular case, it's 50% of the cost new, the one that I use, which is Dunphy Systems.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break, and when we come back, we'll get into CA Simply Tax.
That'll be fine.
Sounds great.
We'll be right back after this.
After this? After that?
Watch for PC Voyage weekly on your local community access channel.
Hi, welcome back. Now let's see what you got over here with Simply Tax.
I sent away for the program. These people, CA, are breaking into the tax market, Computer Associates. They're a very large software house. And what they've offered this year is a $10 1-800 number that you call up, and they will send you this particular package. Hopefully, they'd like to capture a share of the market and garner your support for next year for the renewal. Unfortunately, when I ordered the package, I thought that I was going to get the full regular application. And what they were sending out was a early bird edition. You had to purchase and call them up and register and send in another $5 for the rest of it. But for this evening's demo, this will work very, very accurately and very nicely, I should say. CA Simply Tax puts out a really nice manual. I've gone through it, and it's 15 chapters, and it's broken down very nicely. Easy reading, clear, concise. There's not a lot of fluff in it. The system requirements here, and it indicates in the introduction, requires an IBM PC or compatible, 640K of RAM. It does require a hard disk. and you have to have 3.5 meg of available space on that hard drive. The thing that upset me a little bit is that the files that it created, and I've done it earlier, and we'll get into the particular file, is that the file it creates is about 30K, and that's with a relatively minor simple return, including a Schedule A, a Schedule B, and of course the 1040 itself. So 30K. To give you some comparison, the system that I use, the application program that I use, which is Dunphy Systems, my particular client files run between 4 and 6K. So we can get started with the demo now.
But for your own personal return,
Yeah.
I mean, 30K is not that much if you
That's
just do it for
correct.
yourself anyway. I mean,
Absolutely.
the program takes up 3.5 megs, so your own little file is 30K. It's rather insignificant.
Yeah. The reason I pointed that out is because a preparer who may have 100 to 200 or 300 clients would eat up a lot of disk space awful quick. And the thing is, if you are in the professional preparation business, you hold on to these files virtually forever, so that if you have to go back for a client. Okay, we've got CA on the monitor now, and they got some really unique features that I'm really kind of happy with to see, you know, one of the lower cost packages having them. I don't have them on my end, and as I had indicated, I'm happy to see them on these here. Here's something that's kind of cute. Of course, this is in the help file right now. U.S. averages, they talk about the potential of becoming audited or having your taxes audited. And what they have here is, and it goes back to 1990, these are the average itemized deductions based upon adjusted gross income, and it gives the ranges. And as you can see down in here, someone who is in the say $40,000 to $50,000 range, their general medical is $3,600 and change. Their taxes are $3,000. The interest for this particular range again, their interest deductions on their Schedule A is $5,600, and their contributions is $1,300. If you go outside of their ranges, then the potential for an audit will be much greater. The potential for an audit.
So you don't want to say that you gave 30% to charities, unless
Exactly.
you really
You
did.
might be out of your range, and this is what tips off the IRS.
Are you checking yours, Randy?
In any case, that's kind of a neat thing that's in here. In the help file, it goes through some of the tax law changes. It's helpful hints, tax calendar, tax tips. We'll go into the next menu. You set up, of course, with the new taxpayer file. I've got one that's already been configured, and we're going to call it up a little later, and I'll give you a little simple rundown on how it works. Down in the file menu, of course, you can go through a whole bunch of selections here. Transfer from a previous year is kind of neat. My system does it, but I do all 150 or 175 clients at one time. It appears as though this program can only pick up one at a time from a previous year. It usually can carry all of the alpha information forward, and the Social Security information, the number of your dependents and their names and that. So that's kind of a nice feature. And then, of course, they have the screen display options. You can go into DOS shell and then pop right back in. Under the Forms menu, it goes through a bunch of different steps, how you would do it. You can go through a continual interview, a taxpayer info, and it's all indicated there.
Now, as it's going through the interview, if you type in something that is outside of its range or something that it doesn't think you should do, will it advise you?
It generally won't. This program won't do it. There are some that would indicate that there's a range problem here, and let's have another look. It will accept, well, it generally will not accept alpha information when a numeric is called for, which most of the programs have. But those things that are out of range, no. Frequently, it'll allow you to put in numbers that aren't supposed to go there. We'll get into the edit right here now. What they do is they link. You can override input fields. Generally speaking, if a particular field is incorrect and it generates that because of a linked field, you can override it and put in a correct number. A nice feature to have. You can link, and this is how I would generally do it. I would go into my Schedule A, and then I would link into different parts of that Schedule A, and then come back into the Schedule A after. You can set a place mark, which is kind of cutesy. If you leave and you want to shut off your computer, you can set the place mark in, and then when you come back a day later or however later, it'll bring you right back to that spot. The next is in the utilities, which you can play what if. It'll give you a number of columns where you can set up different scenarios, such as typical is what if I took my IRA? Is my IRA deductible? What would my tax savings be? What if I was eligible to file as head of household, but it's a gray area? Should I be filing as head of household? Well, I'd go back to my theory, but you can still play your what-if scenarios in there. They go into tax forecasting, tax return summary, which is kind of cute. After you're all through with your file and you've entered into all your information, you can come into your tax return summary, and it gives you the various lines that are pertinent to your particular return. Shoebox is another nice area. That's where you just sit down and you bring out all your receipts, and you look at your receipts and you say, well, this is a charitable deduction, I know that. You can go into the shoebox and pick up certain areas and indicate charitable deductions, and it will bring you right to that line in the form. So you can actually take the receipts that you have or the information, and that's why it's called the shoebox routine. You take them out and you say, okay, I want charitable deductions. You go through that scenario and it'll bring you right into that part of the form. Let's go next here. Under the print, of course, the important thing is not only to do your return, but you have to have the ability to actually print it out.
Hey, I have a silly question.
Sure.
Can you fax your return?
You can't fax your return with this particular program. You can electronically file it. Mm-hmm. And what CA Simply Tax has done is they've set up a link with Nelco, which is a prominent electronic filer. And for $20 going through Nelco, you can electronically file your return. Of course, you're going to have the modem in your system to be able to have that ability.
How about a demo, Marty?
Sure. I prepared a demo, and we're going to open that file right now, and it's appropriately named a demo. It goes through a recalculating process. And here we are. You've got the graphic outline of the actual 1040. This is the top of the schedule of the 1040 form, where you're putting in your alpha information, the name, address, so to speak. Your filing status will go down in the area here. We're going to move down a page with the page down. You enter your dependent's name in the appropriate areas. It will automatically calculate the amount of entries, and it will bring it over to the number of dependents that you have. You'll go down and put in your wages. What you'll do is you can link in with an F5 button, and it'll bring up a W-2 form. You'll put in your appropriate wages for you and your spouse. You'll go down next to your taxable income, taxable interest, I should say, and you can link, and I'll do that just very quickly now to show you what it looks like. We put in SIS, Valley Bank, and a credit union, and we entered the amounts, and it totals them up and brings us back into the appropriate line. I'm going to escape from that now, and it'll bring us back to our 1040, and it brought us back the total interest amount. Dividend income works the same way. You can link into the undersheet, the worksheet, so to speak, and you can type in the appropriate information. We go down our form with a page down. We can also go into other income. In this particular case, I got lucky at the track, and I hit it for $1,999. And the reason I'm doing it is because they sent me a W-2G. So the IRS was notified too. It's itemized and total up all the appropriate income, and we have a grand total down on line 23 of $50,695. The adjustments to income, I don't have any. I'm not eligible for an IRA deduction. I'm not interested in the other areas. So we're going to be paging down now. Going into page 2 of the 1040 form, it asks us the question, are you 65 or older? Are you blind? There are also some other areas that you can put that information in, but you can also put it in here. Going down on the form again, the program itself took away all of our deductions. And let me get back up into here. It's something kind of important. This is our itemized deductions. This is where people call it the long form. And so we're into itemized deductions. Let me go quickly into the itemized deductions by hitting the link. It brings up the Schedule A area and our itemized deductions. In this case here, my daughter had some heavy medical expenses with her braces, and we had our HMO insurance added to that, and we added some other things in. It took the appropriate 7.5% out and gave us the bottom line figure of $1,864. Under taxes you paid, it's down in this area. It automatically transferred from our W-2 information and put the appropriate information on the withholdings for state. I've got our real estate taxes in there. We've got our 2 cars for our excise tax, $245, and then it totaled them up. We shall go down into interest that you paid. Home mortgage was $3,978, and of course that came from the statement from the bank. It's called a 1098 statement. In addition, we had a little second mortgage from a John Smith who lives in Agawam, and we have to plug his information and his Social Security in and the appropriate amount that was held, that was there. So that totaled up all of our mortgage interest. Contributions by cash or check, this would be the churches and other charitable organizations. And of course it totaled those up. And then down in casualty and theft losses, a tough one to take. You've got to exceed 10% of your adjusted gross income. None of that, no moving expenses. And I had some tax preparation fees from last year and some union dues come up to $379. But there's a floor of 2%. And my floor is $1,014.
It calculates those things for you.
What it did was it totaled those. Yes, it brought that over from and calculated the 2% based upon your adjusted gross. Absolutely. So that's kind of a nice feature. And all of the tax programs generally do that. Let me see now. Let's go page down. We're on, still into the itemized deductions, and although I made almost $2,000 in gambling winnings, I can take my losses, which are $300.
Well, it's about time now to take a break to show us our address. If you have any questions or comments about the show,
Or any suggestions or anything you'd like to see coming up on the show.
please write to us, and you may be eligible to win software at the end of the year.
And we'll be right back after you see the address. What kind of forms do you get from the software?
Okay, basically, at the end result is you need a proper document to file with the IRS. And this particular package will print out in a HP laser compatible, this particular product here. It's very nice. You don't need any tax font cartridges. All you need is the actual HP or compatible. It will also do the same thing virtually with the dot matrix. The only thing is it'll take forever to print it out. So here's what the product looks like. And this is our page 1 and page 2, our itemized deductions, and it's virtually the same graphics that are on the actual IRS forms. That was our Schedule
All I
A.
have to do is just sign these and send them in.
That's it, sign them and send them. One of the other neat things is that this package will also condense all 4 of these pages into one, and it's called the new 1040 PC printing, and this is acceptable to the IRS also.
That sounds beautiful.
Well, thanks, Marty. Appreciate you coming down.
Thank
It was
you
my
very
pleasure.
much.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Hope you have a good
That's
tax
great.
season.
I expect to. Thank you.
And that's it for another PC Voyage. I'm Diana McLean.
And I'm Rainey Laviolette.
See you next time.